This book starts with a teenage assassin in a salt mine and somehow turns into a fantasy Scooby-Doo episode with ghost queens, dark magic, murder tunnels, and everyone desperately needing therapy. Before we get into the chaos, let me set the scene. We're in the kingdom of Adarlan, which is basically ruled by an ugly and horrible dictator, king, who looked at magic and said, absolutely not. Magic has supposedly been gone for years, conquered kingdoms are suffering, lots of people are enslaved in salt mines, and pretty much everyone is having a terrible time. And in the middle of this, we have our main character, Selena Sardathian. Now, Selena is supposedly the most infamous assassin in the land, which is honestly hilarious because the book starts off and we meet her, she's half dead in a salt mine. She's been imprisoned in Andovier for a year, surviving off of crumbs, getting worked to death every day. She is exhausted, malnourished, and honestly, one strong gust of wind away from collapsing. Then suddenly she gets dragged out of the mines by these two men who will unfortunately become the center of her emotional problems. First we have Cale Westfall, captain of the guard, Mr. Sirius, human embodiment of standing in corners with his arms crossed. 100% emotionally constipated. You also spend half the book trying to figure out how to pronounce his name. And then there's Dorian Havelhard, the crowned prince. Dorian's first personality trait is being pretty. He's kind of a mess and immediately fascinated by Selena. Dorian really said, I can fix her, about the most dangerous woman in the kingdom. Together, they offer her a deal. Compete in a tournament against thieves, assassins, and warriors to become the king's champion. What is the king's champion, you may ask? It's basically the king's personal assassin with a fancy title. You're going to carry out the king's dirty work. If she wins, she serves the king for 4 years and then earns her freedom. And Selena's like, well, my current job is dying in a salt mine, so sure. So they bring her to the glass castle, which sounds beautiful and magical. The glass castle is gorgeous in the same way a Victorian doll is gorgeous. Like, yes, it's pretty, but why do I feel unsafe? One minute she's dying in the mines, the next she's sleeping in silk sheets, eating actual food again, and getting dragged into assassin training montages. Selena has to hide how weak she really is after Andovier. Everyone expects her to be this terrifying, legendary assassin, but in reality, she can barely hold herself up. Half the book is her trying to rebuild her strength. She starts training with Cale every day, regaining her strength, and settling in a castle life shockingly fast. And by castle life, I mean eating candy, reading books, being obsessed with dresses, flirting with Dorian, arguing with Cale, and occasionally remembering she's there to survive a death tournament. At first, it looks like a normal fantasy competition story. She trains, she competes, she tries not to die. Very standard. One day, Selena discovers a hidden passage in her bedroom. Yes, her bedroom, of all places, because apparently royal housing comes with creepy secret tunnels. She finds it behind her wardrobe, and instead of immediately leaving like a normal person with survival instincts, she does what she always does. She goes inside. Because of course she does. Inside her narrow tunnels, strange carvings and symbols that actually should not exist because magic has been gone for years. While in these creepy tunnels, she finds the tomb of an ancient Fae queen, Elena. Elena becomes a ghost spirit thing. She shows up in visions, drops ancient knowledge, and basically says,
Hey bestie, your castle built something ancient and evil, and it's waking up again. Good luck.
So now Selena has a haunted castle, a murderous competition, secret tunnels, forbidden magic, and a ghost queen giving her cryptic homework. We also meet Nehemia? We also meet Nehemia, who immediately enters the story like the only emotionally stable person in a 500-mile radius. She's a princess from Elway, which is ruled by the ugly Adarlan king. She is kind, intelligent, and terrifyingly perceptive, and she becomes Selena's first real friend in forever, which is sweet, and also immediately makes you nervous because in this genre, happiness is usually a limited time offer. Nehemia also clearly knows more than she's saying. She keeps hinting that the castle, the kingdom, and magic itself are all connected to something much bigger. But she delivers information like a cryptic TED Talk speaker, so half the time Selena's like, cool. I understood none of that. Throughout the competition, people start dying randomly in the middle of the night, like completely mutilated. Contestants are getting murdered in increasingly horrifying ways, and everyone's reaction is basically, weird. Anyways, back to churning. So Selena starts investigating because she is, unfortunately, the only competent adult in the building. At this point, it becomes very clear that the castle is not just a castle. It is also definitely a crime scene. Also, pause. Throughout all of this, Dorian is sneaking into Selena's room in the middle of the night because he's obsessed with this woman. Everyone is jealous of her because she has the prince's attention. He is also, like, completely blind to all the shenanigans in the castle. He is wandering around this entire situation like he missed the group chat where everyone else agreed that the castle is fucked. He has no idea about the secret tunnels, no idea about the murders, and honestly, no idea about most of the political reality happening in his own kingdom. Also, Kale, even though he's Dorian's best friend, starts also having romantic feelings for Selena. Great, love triangle. Anyways, then there's Kane. Kane is one of the competitors in the King's Champion competition thing. We are 99% sure the king has influence over him and his shenanigans. From the moment he shows up, he has the vibe of needing to be locked up. He's aggressive, unstable, and way too confident for somebody in a deadly competition. I'm gonna let you take a wild guess why. He's being enhanced with dark magic, you say? Bingo. At this point, we know it's Kane's raggedy ass killing everyone in the castle. So what was supposed to be a normal competition has now turned into Assassin's Tournament, but someone is cheating with demon upgrades. By the end of the book, Selena makes it to the final trial. Of course it's between her and King, because who else would it be against? Selena is poisoned by a jealous hoe because she wants to be in Dorian's draws. Not Selena, the jealous woman. From the start, Kane is molly-whopping Selena. He's faster, stronger, and the concept of fair rules has never once entered his brain. Everyone else is watching like, wow, this is really intense. So she's fighting a magically enhanced Nightmare Man while also trying not to pass out in front of the entire kingdom that's watching. During the fight, she starts sensing these warped, almost outworldly spaces tied to the magic underneath the castle. It's like the world is glitching between reality and something darker beneath it. She's tweaking because of the poison. At this point, it's not even just the arena anymore. It feels like she's brushing against another realm entirely, something ancient and twisted, like a shadow version of the world trying to push through. And Kane is right in the center of it, fully connected to whatever that force is. And right when you think that Selena is just gonna lose and die, Naima intervenes. She steps in and she uses her knowledge of the hidden magic and symbols to help shift the tide, basically giving Selena the opening she needs to survive when she's seconds away from dying and returning to the Fortnite lobby. She starts doing all these like hand signals like she's Doctor Strange. Then there's also Elena, who appears again. She pushes Selena forward through the vision-like connection she has to her, guiding her towards what she needs to do to actually defeat Kane and break through whatever it is that's influencing him. In the end, Selena locks in and defeats Kane and wins the competition. Yay, she's finally the King's Champion. R.I.P. Kane. Eventually, she heals up after getting mollywopped by Kane and has to start her dirty work for the king. This is where the second book, Crown of Midnight, picks up at. So yeah, that's basically Throne of Glass in a nutshell. I probably missed some stuff, but we start in a salt mine, somehow end up in a cursed glass castle with murder tunnels in the walls, a haunted ghost queen giving unsolicited advice, a tournament that turns into a supernatural crime scene, and a final boss who shows up powered by straight up illegal magic. And through all of it, Selena is just trying to survive and live her life. She doesn't want to deal with any of this shit. She just wants her freedom. And trust me, the scope of the series expands insanely after this. The first book feels almost tiny compared to what happens later. Anyway, that's the recap. If you made it this far, you deserve a break and probably therapy, just like everyone in that castle.